From the legendary sword of Excalibur to a room full of gold that was estimated to be worth $300 million, today we're looking at the top 50 lost artifacts and treasures steeped in legend. If you enjoy the long form content, don't forget to throw a like on the video. Also, a special thank you to YouTube High Five who have sent this custom neon YouTube LED. Thanks YouTube High Five! Number 50. Thomas Beale's ciphers. This set of 3 ciphertexts, commonly known as the Beale ciphers, allegedly states the location of buried treasure of gold, silver and jewels that's estimated to be worth over $43 million. Consisting of 3 different ciphers, 2 have remained unsolved over the years, while the 3rd cipher has been solved and reveals the contents of the treasure. Weighing about 3 tons, the treasure includes approximately 35,052 troy ounces of gold, 61,200 troy ounces of silver, worth about $43 million, and jewels worth close to $220,000 in today's money. The other 2 ciphers, one of which supposedly reveals the exact location of the buried treasure, have not yet been solved. Many expeditions have searched for the hidden vault, with some suggesting the treasure may be hidden in a mansion. Can you solve parts 1 and 3 of Beale's codes? Comment down below if you have an idea, and just to let you know, the cipher that was solved was done so using the Declaration of Independence. Number 49. The Ark of the Covenant. Thought to contain tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments, you may recognise this gold-plated chest from a very famous Hollywood film. Kept in a temple named the First Temple in Jerusalem, it was thought destroyed in 587 BC, when an army of ancient Babylon, led by King Nebuchadnezzar II, conquered the city. While the remains of the Ark have been lost to history, some believe that it may be buried at the bottom of the ocean or hidden away somewhere in a private vault. Number 48. The Sword of Excalibur. Despite the claims made by some who believe they have recovered Excalibur, this legendary sword of myth remains just that. Said to be the sword of King Arthur that is supposed to possess magical powers or be associated with the rightful sovereignty of Britain, the sword has never been found or even proven to be real. Said to have been given to Arthur by the Lady of the Lake, the sword was rumoured to have been buried with him at his grave in Glastonbury Abbey and later found in 1191. King Richard I of England is then said to have been gifted the sword and later passed it to Tancred of Sicily before it disappears from the history books. Number 47. The Romanov Fabergé eggs. While the Sword of Excalibur lives in myth and legend, 2 of history's most famous Fabergé eggs most certainly do not, and did at some point really exist. In total, 50 imperial Easter eggs were created for the Russian imperial family between 1885 and 1916, and most can still be found in private collections to this day. 8 remain missing, however, and 2 of these include the famed hen egg with sapphire pendant and the Alexander III commemorative egg. The last known location of the Alexander egg was in 1909, when Nicholas II of Russia presented it to his mother. The sapphire pendant, also known as the egg with hen in basket, was last seen in the Armory Palace of the Kremlin in 1922. However, the exact design of the egg is unknown to this day. Number 46. Sappho's poems. Known as the Shakespeare of the 7th century BC, Greek lyric poet Sappho created many poems, yet only a few survive intact to this day. 2 never-before-seen sections of Sappho poems were recovered in 2014 and revealed details about her brothers and love life. Much of her works were lost, with the church seeing her lifestyle as immoral, and today, out of 10,000 lines of poetry, just 650 still exist. Number 45, the Round Table. Much like the legendary Sword of Excalibur, the Round Table was said to have existed during the time of King Arthur. The table was said to host various meetings of the king and his knights, and was created to prevent quarrels among his barons and make everyone feel equal at meetings. In 2011, archaeologists searching for the table made a surprising discovery at the King's Knot in Stirling, where a raised circular feature was discovered. The original Round Table has never been discovered and may long be lost to history, especially if it was made from wood. Number 44, the Florentine Diamond. The origins of our next item are said to be highly disputed, and it was said to have been cut for Charles the Bold, Duke of Burgundy. This lost diamond of Indian origin is light yellow in colour with very slight green overtones, and was a 9-sided 126 facet double rose cut with a weight of 137.27 carats. The stone has had many nicknames over the years, including the Tuscan, the Tuscany Diamond, the Grand Duke of Tuscany, the Austrian Diamond, Austrian Yellow Diamond, and the Duffner Diamond. After the fall of the Austrian Empire after World War I, the stone, by the order of Emperor Charles I of Austria, was removed from the imperial treasury and taken with him into exile. It was later stolen sometime after 1918 and taken to South America, later thought to have been moved to the United States in the 1920s. Number 43, Heirloom Seal of the Realm. Also known in English as the Imperial Seal of China, this jade-crafted seal was thought to have been created in 221 BC. Passing through 7 dynasties, the seal was eventually lost in the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period, with its fate currently unknown. Many seals have since been found, but any claiming to be the fabled Heirloom Seal of the Realm have since been ruled out under closer examination. Number 42, Michelangelo's Mask of Faun. Many great works from the legendary Italian Renaissance artist Michelangelo still hang in museums around the world today, but one well-known piece is missing from those collections. The Mask of Faun, also sometimes called the Head of Faun, disappeared sometimes in 1944 during World War II, and although there is disagreement, it's thought to have been stolen by Nazi Germany. There is also disagreement as to whether the real painting was stolen from the Bargello National Museum in Florence. Could the painting still be unearthed in the future? Only time will tell. Number 41, the Treasure of the Incas. Also known as the Treasure of the Langantis, the lost treasure of the Incas is supposedly hidden deep within the mountain ranges of Ecuador, consisting of a huge amount of gold, silver, platinum, and electrum artifacts. It's rumoured to have been hidden within the mountains after a general learned of the Inca king's murder. The treasure has been partially confirmed to have existed, and while the general never revealed the location of its existence, many are continuing to search for it to this day. Number 40, the Sword of Joyeuse. Written in medieval legend, this sword was said to have been wielded by Charlemagne, King of the Franks, as his personal weapon. Used in French royal coronation ceremonies since the 13th century, the sword is said to be housed at the Louvre, but it is currently unknown if this is the real artifact. Said to contain the Lance of Longinus, or as it is more well known, the Holy Lance, the sword is said to date from the 10th century. Rumoured to have been lost in battle, the sword was reportedly found by one of the knights of the king. Number 39. The Knights Templar treasure. One of the oldest and most famous religious military orders in Europe, the Knights Templar was founded in 1119. After amassing a great fortune through various activities, the Templars' authority was challenged by Philip IV and the Pope, having many of them arrested in 1307. After smashing open their treasury, Philip expected to find gold treasures, biblical images and ornate vessels. Instead, he found nothing, with the room being completely empty, and today the location of the treasure, said to be almost 18 galleons worth, is still hidden. Number 38. The Peking Man. Some of the first ancient human remains discovered in mainland Asia, this artefact disappeared during World War II and was described as the worst disaster in the history of archaeology. Recent findings suggest the fossils may be buried beneath a parking lot in China, although the skull has never been recovered. Number 37. The Genoa Chalice. One of the most famous items of legend on the list, the Genoa Chalice is more commonly referred to as the Holy Grail. Thought to be the cup from which Jesus drank from the Last Supper, many have tried and failed to hunt down the Grail. One artefact, the Valencia Chalice, is claimed to be the actual Holy Grail and sits in the Cathedral of Valencia, although it has never been accredited with supernatural powers. The Genoa Chalice is a hexagonal dish of the Roman era made of green Egyptian glass and is kept in Genoa Cathedral. Many other cups, goblets and chalices claim to be the original Grail, yet none have ever proven to be so. Number 36. The Crown Jewels of Ireland. Created in 1831 for the Grand Master of the Order of St. Patrick, the Crown Jewels of Ireland were stolen from Dublin Castle in 1907. Originally kept in a library under very poor security, the jewels were meant to be housed in a new strong room which had been built within the castle. The safe for the jewels was too big for the door, and thus the jewels were instead kept within the safe and stored in Sir Arthur Vickers' library. Last worn by the Lord Lieutenant Earl of Aberdeen on the 15th of March 1907, they were found to be missing on the 6th of July 1907, 4 days before a visit by King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra. The hunt for the jewels has continued ever since, including the removal of the walls and floorboards inside the clock tower of the original genealogical office. However, they still remain missing. Number 35. The Jewels of King John. Thought to have been an immeasurable collection of jewellery and gold plates, King John of England was travelling through an area of Norfolk known as the Swamp due to its dangerous areas. After contracting dysentery, he decided to return to Newark Castle early and left his personal belongings, including the treasure, to take a slower route through the swamps. Legend has it that the carriage containing the gold disappeared in the swamp, yet many believe that the king's treasure was actually stolen by his own men. King John could not be saved from his own fate either, and died days after the treasure disappeared, never to be found to this day. Number 34. The Lost Raphael painting. Stolen from Krakow by Nazi Germany, Portrait of a Young Man was created by Italian painter Raphael Sanzio. Thought to have a destination in the unbuilt Fuhrer Museum in Linz, this painting was last seen in Hans Frank's chalet in Germany sometime in 1945. With the trials of Germans connected with the thefts resulting in war crimes charges and later executions, any knowledge of the painting has now been lost to history. Number 33. The Amber Room. Nicknamed the 8th wonder of the world, the jewel-studded amber room was crafted from 6 tons of amber and was mounted on gold leaf walls. Adorned with mosaics and mirrors, the room was originally designed in the early 18th century as an opulent chamber for Frederick I, the King of Prussia. Later gifted to the Russian Tsar Peter the Great Great in 1716, the whole room was moved to Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg and expanded to help match the rooms of that palace. The room was moved again in 1941 when Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, and most, if not all, of the room was transferred to Königsberg Castle. From here, its whereabouts are unknown, with the castle being razed to the ground in 1959. So far, no remnants of the Amber Room have ever been discovered. Number 32, the Gardner Museum artworks. Consisting of 13 works of art worth roughly $500 million, works by the Dutch painter Rembrandt and 5 by French artist Edgar Degas were stolen in March 1990. The thieves, who were dressed as police officers, were never caught, and the artworks remain missing to this day. Only the empty frames were left in the museum, located in Boston, Massachusetts, and the robbery became known as the world's biggest art heist. Many films and documentaries have been made about the heist over the years, including This Is a Robbery, filmed in 2021. Number 31, the Dead Bishop's Treasure. Thought to have been plundered by the Bishop of Lisbon, this treasure is thought to have included gold, silver rings, tapestries, jewels, fine plates, and even portable altars. The bishop had recently died when the ship carrying the loot from Lisbon in Portugal to Avignon in France was attacked by 2 heavily armed pirate vessels while sailing near the town of Cartagena. One ship was later captured after it ran aground. However, the second ship, and possibly the one carrying the majority of the treasure, is said to have escaped. What happened to Theobald Castilian's treasure to this day currently remains a mystery. Number 30, Caravaggio's Nativity. One of the most famous paintings never found, Caravaggio's Nativity depicts the birth of Christ by Italian painter Michelangelo Caravaggio. Said to have captured the poverty of Jesus' surroundings at the time of his birth, the painting was stolen in 1969 while hanging in the chapel in Palermo, Italy. It remains unclear who stole the painting, and the location of the piece has never been found. However, members of the Sicilian mafia have always been suspected of the crime. A replica of the painting has since been unveiled in the chapel where the original was stolen. Number 29, the Monterey Treasure. Located in the Peloncillo Mountains near the Arizona-New Mexico border lies the infamous 1,000-mile Skeleton Canyon. The canyon is said to hold a treasure trove of silver and gold, diamonds, statues, and Catholic vestiges that was stolen from the Mexican city of Monterey in the 1880s. The treasure has had many people looking for it, and many believe that the loot is hidden in an underground cavern. Nobody has ever found any links to the treasure as of yet, and the searches continue to this day, with some suggesting the treasure having already been found. Number 28, the Missing Aztec Treasure. Known as La Noche Triste, or the Night of Sadness, this story of theft took place during the Aztec Rebellion in Mexico. On the night of June 30th, 1952, a haul of Aztec gold was said to have been moved from the Aztec capital in the cover of night. Only a portion of the treasure was ever recovered by the Spanish, and one bar was even found in Mexico City, but most of its location remains a mystery. Number 27, Rommel's Gold. Another lost Nazi treasure, reportedly belonging to Nazi Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. It was said that this hoard had been looted from the Jewish citizens on the island of Jerba in Tunisia. Said to have been worth more than £20 million and containing gold and other expensive items. Many suspect the treasure was shipped to Corsica. Others suggest the ship carrying the treasure sank on its way to the island, and the legend has even been mentioned in a James Bond novel. One interesting piece of evidence linking the treasure to reality was some coordinates found written on the back of a family photo belonging to an SS officer in Dachau after the war. They state that the treasure may have been dumped less than half a mile off a beach close to Bastia, yet due to erosion the boxes holding the treasure may now have spread it across the seabed. Number 26, the Lost Dutchman's Gold Mine. Said to be hidden somewhere in the southern United States, possibly close to the Superstition Mountains near Apache Junction, lies a rich gold mine that is written in legend. Named after a German immigrant, Jacob Waltz, the mine was found and later kept a secret, becoming one of the most famous lost mines in American history. Seeking the Lost Dutchman's mine since at least 1892, many travellers and explorers have perished while looking for it. So big was the hidden treasure that in 1977, 292 acres of the Tonto National Forest became known as Lost Dutchman State Park, and this was expanded to 320 acres in 1983. Number 25, the Jules Rimet Trophy. Symbolising the pinnacle of football achievement, the Jules Rimet Trophy was awarded to winners of the World Cup between 1930 and 1979. The trophy was stolen twice in its lifetime and was recovered on the first occasion by a dog named Pickles. Unfortunately, while on display at the Brazilian Football Confederation headquarters in Rio de Janeiro, the trophy was stolen again. Only part of the trophy's base has ever been recovered, and the estimated value of the missing item far exceeds $320,000 its replica sold for at auction in 1997. Many have speculated the whereabouts of the Jules Rimet to this day, and some have even claimed that it may have been melted down and sold on the black market. Number 24, the Confederate Gold. Lost after the American Civil War, millions of dollars worth of gold is currently unaccounted for, and its location has been the talk of treasure hunters for years. The Confederate treasury is rumoured to have been hidden so that it would give time for the South to rise up again, or so the Union could not get their hands on it. Confederate State Secretary of the Treasury George Trenholm was arrested after the war and accused of making off with millions in Confederate assets. Thought to be worth close to $10.5 million in today's money, the money was said to be on a train when it mysteriously disappeared. Was the Confederate gold stolen, or does it today lie hidden waiting for an explorer to stumble across the find of a lifetime? Number 23, Leon Trabucco's gold. Landing several mysterious flights in the desert, Red Moisier, as the pilot was named, used secret flights to move his business partner's large treasure haul 1 ton at a time, with 16 flights in total. After the final shipment was delivered in 1933, the gold was hidden by 1934, and private ownership of gold within the United States was illegal, making the haul technically worthless. The gold embargo meant the treasure holders had missed their chance to become rich, and they took the secret location of the gold with them to the grave. The treasure is said to be buried within a triangle in the New Mexico reservation between Shrine Rock, a large house, and the runway where the plane landed. It is also said to be cursed, which is why not everyone is out looking for it, yet some still persist. Number 22, the SS Minden treasure. Thought to be on a voyage from Rio de Janeiro to Germany in 1939, this fabled Nazi ship is thought to have encountered a British naval vessel somewhere off the coast of Iceland. The ship was said to be carrying stolen gold that was bound for Berlin, and the ship's crew scuttled it to avoid it falling into enemy hands. Several privately funded voyages have been made to try and find the location of the Minden and its reputed gold stash, with one even finding a possible location of the wreck. No gold or valuables have ever been discovered at the disputed wreck site, which in 2017 had a detailed search carried out. Number 21, the Treasure of Lima. After the defeat of the Incas, Spain had controlled their territory since the 16th century, and the Roman Catholic Church gathered a great treasure, nicknamed the Treasure of Lima. Peace did not last, and in 1820 the Viceroy of Lima decided to transport the city's fabulous wealth to Mexico for safekeeping, after Lima found itself on the edge of revolt. The treasure included 2 life-size gold statues of Mary holding the baby Jesus Jesus, and various jeweled stones and candlesticks. The loot was loaded onto a ship named Mary Dear. However, it turns out the crew could not resist the temptation of the treasure and turned pirate, stealing it. They buried it on Cocos Island, today part of modern-day Costa Rica, and then decided to lay low. Unfortunately, the crew of the ship was caught, tried and hanged, yet the captain and his first mate managed to convince the authorities to let them reveal the treasure. Having travelled back to Cocos Island, they escaped into the jungle where they were never seen again, along with the remains of the treasure. Today, treasure hunting is forbidden on the island. I wonder why, thanks to the Costa Rican government's decree. Number 20, Spartacus's sword. Possibly one of the most famous swords of the Roman era, this sword, used by the legendary slave rebel Spartacus, has long since been lost during the final battle of the Third Servile War. Named the Gladius, his sword was rumoured to be curved and was retrieved by Roman general Crassus after he was wounded in battle. The fate of the sword from there is unknown. It was either left on the battlefield, retrieved by the rebels, or eventually recovered by the Romans and returned to a Roman city. What the sword actually looked like remains a hot topic, with some claiming it was straight and others believing a curved sword a better fighting weapon. Some people even believe Spartacus fought with both swords at the same time. Number 19, the Ring of St. Edward. Born in 1005 as the son of King Ethelred the Unready, Edward ascended to the throne as a deeply religious leader. He was reported to have been given this ring by a beggar that later ended up in the possession of St. John the Evangelist. Passing the ring on to two pilgrims, St. John told them to return the ring to Edward with a message that his life would end in just 6 months. Next, the ring made its way into the prized collection of Edward the Confessor and became extremely valuable after he was made a saint. Kept at Westminster Abbey with other sacred relics, it disappeared after the dissolution of the monasteries in 1540. The blue sapphire once embedded within the ring is said to be embedded in the cross atop the imperial state crown in today's crown jewels. Number 18, the World War II gold train. Another fascinating legend that is also somewhat of a myth when it comes to treasure hunting. The gold train has been the focus of several major treasure hunts over the years. Also the focus of several television treasure hunts, the train is said to be hidden somewhere in southwest Poland, possibly close to the border of the Czech Republic. Searches have involved the Polish army, ground-penetrating radar, privately funded digs and major excavations, but no trace of the train has ever been found. The train is said to be laden with 330 tons of stolen gold, various artworks, jewels, weapons and stolen valuables. Many historians have stated that the train nor the Nazi treasure have ever been proven to have existed. While no gold has ever been found, several paintings were hidden behind a plaster wall while doing renovation work in an old palace. Number 17, Isabella Zatroyska's royal casket. Created in 1800, this large wooden casket contains 73 precious relics and once belonged to Polish royalty. Inscribed with the phrase Polish mementos assembled in 1800 by Isabella Zatroyska, the casket survived the Polish national uprisings and, for a time, resided in Krakow. The casket was on the move during World War II and was hidden in a repository that was bricked up, with its location later revealed to the Wehrmacht soldiers by a family traitor. The soldiers plundered the casket, which is unknown to have survived the raid, and the loot was reportedly split amongst the battalion. Several items within the casket included a gold watch of King Augustus II, a portrait of Queen Constance of Austria, and the ivory box in a silver gilded frame once owned by King John III of Poland. Rumours swirl to this day that the casket may have been on the fabled Nazi gold train that we covered previously. Number 16, George Mallory Mallory's camera. One of the enduring mysteries of the 20th century was the disappearance of the camera that was owned by George Mallory when he attempted his Everest climb in 1924. Said to be the most coveted camera in the history of modern exploration, the camera is now thought to be among the possessions of Andrew Irvine, Mallory's climbing partner, who remains missing. When Mallory's body was found in 1999, the camera was not with him, suggesting that it is now lying with Irvine somewhere on the peak. To this day, the search for Irvine and the camera continue, but unfortunately, with the Tibetan side of Everest unreachable, the camera, which may prove they reached the summit, is yet to be found. Number 15. The Scepter of Dagobert. Considered to be one of the oldest parts of the crown jewels, the Scepter of Dagobert dates from the 7th century and was stored in the treasure of the Basilica of St. Denis. Disappearing in 1795 and never seen again, this famed part of the French crown jewels was made of filigraned and enamelled gold and was 56 centimetres long. The scepter was made out of 3 parts: the rod, the hand holding the world, and a statue at the top being the oldest part. The scepter's name comes from Dagobert I, a French king for whom it was supposedly created and has not been seen since its disappearance. Number 14. The Twin Sisters Cannons. Used by the Texas military forces during the Texas Revolution, these cannons are said to be among the most famous artillery in Texas military history, said to be responsible for winning the revolution at the Battle of San Jacinto, and were also thought to have been used during the Mexican invasions of 1842 and the American Civil War. This is fiercely debated among historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters, with the cannons disappearing and were last seen on the 30th of July 1865. A range of theories have been put forward for the location of the cannons, including lost to quicksand and even being melted down for scrap. Number 13. Nelson's Chelenk. Specially made for Horatio Nelson by Sultan Selim III in honour of the Battle of the Nile, it was the first time a piece of this stature was awarded to a non-Ottoman. The piece was bought by the Society for Nautical Research in 1929 following a national appeal, but disappeared in a theft from the National Maritime Museum in 1951. Several books have been written about the Chelenk, and it remains one of the most lost seafaring treasures of all time. Number 12. Tucker's Cross. This emerald-studded 22-carat gold cross, discovered by Bermudian marine explorer Teddy Tucker in 1955, was originally believed to be a Spanish galleon named the San Pedro that was wrecked in 1594. He originally believed the cross to be made in India, and in 1997 it was now thought to be the most valuable object ever found in a shipwreck. Tucker sold it to the government of Bermuda in 1959 for $100,000, and the piece was kept in the Aquarium Museum, which he ran with his wife. It was later discovered that the cross had been stolen and a cheap plastic replica left in its place during an impending visit by Queen Elizabeth II. Number 11. Cleopatra's Tomb. If there is one item of treasure that has not yet been found in Egypt, it is Cleopatra's tomb that tops the chart as one of the most sought after missing rooms ever. Several sites have been explored in the search for the tomb, yet the most promising site, located on the island of Antirodos, which now sits below the sea. Several Cleopatra-style artifacts and a room that contains Isis temple-related artifacts have been discovered on or near this island, but the tomb itself remains a mystery. Number 10. The Great Bell of Damazidi. Believed to be the largest bell ever cast on the 5th of February 1484 by order of King Damazidi, this bell was said to have an unpleasant noise when rung. The theft of the bell commenced in 1608 when a Portuguese warlord de Brito removed the bell from the Shwedagon pagoda and rolled it down Signatura Hill. Hauled by elephants to the Bago River, it It was loaded onto a barge that was attached to De Brito's ship. Once on the move, the bell proved too heavy for the barge and the ship towing it, and all went straight to the bottom of the river. Many people have tried to find the bell, so far without success, with one deep-sea diver, James Blunt, having made over 115 dives in an attempt to locate it, as yet without success. Number 9. Hiroshima Atomic Map. While several maps were created to plan the dropping of an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, one map in particular stands out, the only one currently to be missing. Filed in the 20th Air Force Mission Reports, the map has all but disappeared from history, so much so that hardly anybody even looks for it anymore. Number 8. Pharaoh Menacher's tomb. Discovered by Howard Wise and John Perring in 1837, this large basalt sarcophagus was loaded onto a ship but was lost in a wreck on the way to Great Britain. Luckily for Wise and Perring, Menacher's remains were found in a separate burial chamber in a wooden anthropoid coffin inscribed with his name. Today it resides safely in the British Museum, while the sarcophagus lies somewhere at the bottom of the Atlantic. Number 7. Honjo Masamune's sword. Used by samurai warriors and passed down through the generations of shogunate, this sword is the most important of all the missing Japanese swords. Widely considered to be an invaluable cultural artifact, if the sword were to appear on the market today, it could potentially fetch a price in the range of tens of millions of dollars. Today the sword's whereabouts are unknown, leading to one of the greatest mysteries in Japanese history. Number 6. The Brunswick Bulk Colander Cup. Donated to the American Professional Football Association, the Brunswick Bulk Colander Cup was a silver trophy donated to the American Professional Football Association, later known as the NFL. Only ever presented to one team, the Akron Pros, the trophy disappeared after a meeting of the APFA and NFL. Even more strange, there is only one visual depiction of the trophy in a picture that appeared in 2 newspapers from the era. Number 5. Da Vinci's Medusa. Being among Leonardo da Vinci's earliest works, Leonardo represented the head of Medusa on a wooden shield after a request by his father. The shield has been said to have inspired several early 17th century painters, and it's rumoured that their 2 versions were actually painted, yet this is doubted by artists. What's even more interesting is that any one of the surviving paintings could have been painted by Leonardo, we simply don't know which one. Number 4. Blackbeard's treasure. Real name Edward Teach, Blackbeard as he became known was one of the most feared pirates to ever sail. Initially serving as a privateer during Queen Anne's War, for all intents and purposes, Blackbeard was a pirate with papers working for the government. Loaded with 40 cannons, his feared ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, conducted several audacious acts of piracy and cemented his reputation as one of the most fearsome marauders of all time. Blackbeard met his end after falling in the battle against Lieutenant Robert Maynard, leaving behind one of the world's largest hidden treasures, possibly running into the hundreds of millions. Nothing was found on his ships and no map was left leading to any X marks the spot. However, some speculate that he buried the treasure on Ocracoke Island. Others believe that he may have hidden it in one of the many caves that stretch along the coastline near the Beaufort Inlet, where the ship was found wrecked. With over 300 years passing since the tale of the treasure surfaced, nothing has yet been found. Number 3. Yamashita's gold. Often referred to as the Yamashita treasure, 6,000 tons of gold was said to have been buried in Southeast Asia by Imperial Japanese forces sometime during World War II. Rumours spread that gold bars had been found in the mountains about 40 kilometres away from Manila, and several people were arrested for illegal treasure hunting. Others have tried and failed to locate the source of Yamashita's gold, with some falling foul of supposed booby traps. Others claim that the American military intelligence operatives located much of the loot and sold it as black gold to finance American covert intelligence operations around the world. Others have said it never existed at all. Number 2. The Lost Library of the Moscow Tsars. Known as the Golden Library and thought to have been assembled by Grand Duke Ivan III of Russia, it's thought to contain rare Greek, Latin and Egyptian works from the libraries of Constantinople and Alexandria. Initially thought to be located under the Kremlin, treasure hunters have often feared a well-known curse that is said to blind anyone coming too close to the books within. Searches for the library have continued relentlessly since the early 19th century, and the closest anyone has ever come to finding its location was archaeologist Ignatius Steletsky in 1929. Number 1. Genghis Khan's grave. Having been the subject of much speculation and research, the burial site of Genghis Khan remains undiscovered and is believed to be near the Mongol sacred mountains of Burkhan Khaldun. 2 expeditions led by French archaeologist Pierre-Henri Giscard, a specialist in Mongolian archaeology, used drones to carry out non-invasive analysis of several sites. Unfortunately, access to the area around Burkhan Khaldun remains strictly controlled by the Mongolian government due to the sacredness of the area. Palace of Genghis Khan was discovered in 2004, and over 20 tombs for high-status individuals remain unopened around the foothills of the Hentai Mountains. Yet again, public access is barred. The Great Warrior's Tomb is speculated to contain a vast treasure from across the ancient Mongol Empire, and the Mongolians have gone to great lengths to keep its location a closely guarded secret. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click the video next to me to see another great video that is being recommended to you on YouTube. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.